Part of our history is with Way City and some of the big ones that everybody knows, Quezon, but ours was it was the raid at Bonlon, which was in January 14th, 1967. It was a surprise raid or an attack, and it was a village where a lot of the NVA and Viet Cong headquarters was, and it was in the Go Noi Island area, which was southwest of Da Nang, which is about 25 miles south, up bordering the Quezon Valley. And it was really a hotbed where the NVA were starting to move very deep south out of the north. And we attacked the village we had 175 Marines that day. Out of a tactical company would have been a 225, but we boarded onto C-Knights, 46s, and we attacked it. It was a raid. It was a surprise attack. Supposedly it was the first surprise attack of the Vietnam War of that level. And we ended up hitting about a battalion of Marines, and it was about 6 hours of heavy fighting. And what was significant too is when I was actually on the second wave of that. There was two waves, first wave and the second wave, and I was on the second wave, which was 3rd Platoon. And as I've explained to everybody, it looked like it was something we had not experienced before, because they were dug in bunkers that surrounded the village, and we were in a 1,000-meter rice paddy, which we had to cross and under heavy fire. And pretty quickly we had about 4 down, a lot of wounded. And what was also interesting about that, it showed the great leadership of the Marine Corps, because as squad leaders went down, fire team leaders and even our platoon leaders, when we had 2 down. And we were able to take over and continue on with the mission. After about 6 hours, it was very difficult because it was getting dark and we had air support. But they were flying circles of napalm around the village to keep the reinforcements out, which are coming out of the mountains. And the FOs could see them, but as it got dark, they couldn't fly anymore, so they were getting heavily reinforced. Our captain, who was Marshall Carter, Marsh became, quick story, became chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, and for his deeds that day, became the recipient of the Naval Cross. But his leadership saved a lot of lives, no question. And he had made the decision at that time they wanted to reinforce us, and he had to make a very difficult decision to reinforce us or not. And because we had to pull out, we had to get to a rice paddy. All our wounded or our dead were still there, those who were killed in action. And we had to gather everybody up. It had to be like all at once. It wasn't like, you could have them come in and take them out. It was all at once. So he had to make the decision. And years later we found out, we said, Marsh, why did you make that decision? He said, it was Custer's last stand either way. Can you imagine having to make that kind of decision? And he did. And it was the right decision, because he decided to go with who got him there. And we got him out, and we got everybody out. And it was, in our lives, it was epic. And there was few of us here that were there, as there are many other heroes today. It was December 28th of '66. They took me and my squad up on what they called a Sparrowhawk. A Sparrowhawk was, it was a reactionary thing where they would come, call you, take you up, and it was to go, we were in support of a Marine recon team. We were supposed to go out there and find them. And they landed us, and we think we were way back by the Laotian border. We were really in these deep mountains, because we were flying for a good way in these C-Knights. As soon as we got off, we couldn't find our way up the mountain because it was all hardwood. And within about a half hour, we were hit. And we had 1 casualty, 1 killed, and we had 1 severely wounded. A couple others were slightly wounded. And the fear of that one was because we knew we were going the wrong way. In a way, we had to go up. Normally, Marines are going to find the hardest way to go, but this was all hardwoods up there. and we couldn't get through. So we had to take what was kind of obvious. We knew it was very dangerous, and we did, and it almost cost us again all our lives. We had, I think, 14 of us up there. The helicopters, the choppers had gone, and we called to get them back so we could get out, and they called back and they said, we're running out of fuel, and you guys have to be down on the LZ. And it was just a small patch on the side of a mountain. We had to figure out how to get us down. The killed in action, his name was Kirlin. He was from Buffalo, New York. And the wounded guy, Marine, I don't know what his name was, but he was very severely wounded, opened up and all that. And we were able to get them down. But miraculously, those rounds, everything just hit me, and we found wild boar trails to slide down to get us down the mountain. I mean, just like, hate to say it, but stuff you see in the movies, in a way. We've seen these, but what saved us was the hardwoods, because we were under the canopy, and they were up on a mountain, and they were firing at us. They couldn't get us, and the choppers came in again. We were able to get out. But it was a good example between that and a raid of what the Marine Corps assets how they work together. And that's what makes the Marine Corps so great. And we didn't leave anybody in those two incidents. But in that particular instance, and on the raid, to this day, I feel it's a miracle I'm alive. You know, everybody's here, we've all had our ups and downs, you know, because there was a time we didn't know when we came home. The war was very unpopular, and we were, like many of us, were kind of hidden. I remember going to events and certain things, and I keep my ribbons in my pocket. Nobody knew that I was, very few people knew, except maybe in my immediate family. And we had all the adjustment problems that you hear about, but you didn't know that you didn't know. There was all this stuff going on. And it was a very difficult time. It changed my life, no question, no question. But out of the bad, there was always the good, you know, because I feel that I was part of something, and knock on wood, or whatever you say, it might be wood, that, you know, I had a chance to survive. But it changed my life. It affected my family life. I had, you know, divorce and different things, job changes, and different unsettling parts of my life that this is not the interview for it, but it did affect my life. And in many cases, it made a positive impact on my life that I used to carry me forward to be successful, too. So, and I speak for, I think, a lot of what I call the unknown Vietnams, veterans, because there's a lot of us that did a lot of good. I believe that we are the greatest generation of our generation. I really do believe that. And there's a lot of examples out there. I really believe that.